3 scary, true summertime horror stories. Story 1. The Vanishing Hitchhiker of Route 66. Tom, an undergrad eager to spend his late spring getaway at home, picked the renowned Highway 66 as a result of its verifiable appeal and delightful landscape on a boiling July evening. He saw the figure of a young woman in a white summer dress remaining by the roadside, her thumb out as she searched for a ride, as the sun set and made profound shadows over the fruitless landscape. Tom had to dial back and pull over out of an inquisitive and concerned blend. With a calm, practically miserable voice, the woman distinguished herself as Anna and mentioned a ride to a close-by town. Anna was quiet the entire way, her eyes fixed on the forsaken scene, and she would some of the time utter secretive remarks about the areas they passed that sounded oddly awkward. Tom went to let Anna know that they were drawing near to the town, just to find her gone and simply a white wrap on the front seat. Stupefied and minimal uncomfortable, Tom made a stop at the local cafe to get some information about the puzzling Anna. The server withered when she saw the cloak and recounted a startling story of how a young lady called Anna who fit the depiction had passed on horrendously on Highway 66 20 years prior. They said that her spirit was all the while going by bumming a ride and could never abandon her longing to return home. With the scarf close by, a cold keepsake of his left partner in crime, Tom returned to his vehicle. He speedily drove away, the gathering still especially with him as the street went on under the brilliant sky. Story 2. The Midnight Swimmer of Lake Morose. Settled inside thick woodlands and lined by provincial cabins, Lake Dismal is a secret gem that has for quite some time been the hash one among summer voyagers looking for a serene escape. The lake was a fantasy excursion with its perfectly clear waters and flawless environmental elements. In any case, there was a vile legend encompassing its sparkling waters. A spooky persona referred to just as the 12 p.m. swimmer, said to slink the profundities into the evening, a remnant from a long failed to remember misfortune. This mid-year, a gathering of school pals chose to scrutinize the old legend since they were baited to the allure of phantom stories and the excitement of the unexplored world. They booked a comfortable house by the lake, which disregarded the apparently serene Lake Bleak. The companions, doubters and daredevils the same, were anxious to disperse the fantasy of the 12 p.m. swimmer, or in any event, have a story to tell when they returned home. The legend was notable among local people. One particularly blistering day, the organization assembled around a pit fire at night, trading jokes and stories as the sun sank. They tested each other to a 12 p.m. swim as the night became hazier to defy the legendary Lake Phantom. Under the direction of Jason, who was notable among his companions for his bold soul and bravery, they prepared for their evening time campaign. As 12 p.m. moved nearer, the party pushed toward the water's edge in a combination of uneasy energy and assumption. It was a somewhat quiet evening, without the ordinary uproar of crickets and other night critters. The lake's surface mirrored the brilliant night sky, and the air hushed up. Jason hopped into the lake first, his chuckling reverberating across the water as the clock struck 12, the witching hour. His buddies continued thus, their jolly shouts slicing through the murkiness. They skipped around and plunged in, the cool water giving a lovely relief from the intensity of the day. Be that as it may, as the minutes went by, the lake went through a sudden shift. The swimmers were covered in a spooky fog as the weather conditions became cold, and a weighty mist began to wash over the surface. There was disrupting tranquility as the gathering's giggling died down. The waters, which had appeared to be inviting, turned out to be very cold as the temperature plunged. Indeed, even the most invigorated Jason unexpectedly became quiet. His laughing gave approach to unnerved shouting. He battled quickly in the water, shouting as he was pulled on a deeper level by frigid, getting hands. Jason's buddies, who had initially expected it was a joke, before long comprehended how serious things were as his fear became clear. They sprang to his salvage, hauling him back to the coast. Short of breath, he depicted how a serious young woman endeavored to pull him down to her watery burial place, as her arms were folded over him and her eyes were loaded with melancholy. She was a ghost of hopelessness, lost and alone, bound to the profundities of Lake Grim, as indicated by his portrayal. Upset by the experience and incapable to excuse it as a psychological deception, the party stuffed their assets when dawn showed up. They couldn't shake the recollections of that evening, a startling update that there might be a reality to specific stories. Subsequent to educating a neighborhood student of history regarding their experience back in the neighborhood, the woman connected with them the horrible story of a young lady who suffocated in the lake on a night like theirs quite a long time back. Known for her warmth for the water, she was a gifted swimmer whose life was taken far too early. From that point forward, it has been accounted for that her apparition, known as the 12 p.m. swimmer, torment the lake and is continuously searching for somebody to go down with her to break her unending disengagement. The posse had a re-established appreciation for the veracity of neighborhood legend and the normal world's mysteries when they left Lake Grimm. The involvement in the apparition of Noon Swimmer had shaken their confidence, attempted their fortitude, and changed their lives for eternity. At the point when they left, Lake Grimm's waters were quiet under the morning light, its secrets concealed underneath the serene surface, trusting that the following night will come. Story 3. The Campfire Storyteller of Pine Grove. Every summer, Pine Grove Campground would come alive with the excitement of its annual storytelling contest. Campers would gather around a roaring campfire to share tales of horror and folklore. This year, an elderly man unknown to the regulars joined the circle. His presence was enigmatic, his eyes carrying tales of yesteryears. As he began his story, the fire seemed to burn brighter, his voice carrying a timbre that resonated with the rustling leaves and the crackling wood. His tale was of a long-forgotten summer camp, haunted by the echoes of joyous days turned tragic. He spoke of spirits that roamed the forest, their laughter mingling with the whispers of the wind. The tale grew more vivid. The shadows cast by the fire morphed into fleeting figures, dancing around the perimeter of the spellbound audience. As his story reached its climax, with the spirits of the past said to converge on the campsite during the witching hour, a sudden gust of wind snuffed out the fire, plunging the camp into darkness. Panic briefly ensued as everyone scrambled for their lights, only to find the old man had disappeared without a trace. Despite thorough searches, no sign of him was found, and no record of his registration existed. From that night on, the campfire tales took on a new, unnerving edge. Whispered speculations suggested that the old man himself was a specter, bound to the campground, his spirit compelled to recount the camp's dark history to those who would listen. His tales a bridge between the past and the present, forever keeping the memories alive. These eerie stories, woven into the fabric of summer's tapestry, remind us that the season's extended daylight is often countered by the depth of its nights, bringing with them shadows that stir the imagination and chill the spine. Whether on a deserted highway beside a remote lake or around a crackling campfire, the thrill of fear is a quintessential part of the summertime experience.